Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name's Cameron and this is my 1994 Toyota Hilux Surf. So if you live in North America, you might be thinking that this looks a lot like a 4Runner, and it actually is a 4Runner. It was sold as the Hilux Surf in every market except for North America. And I think the UK, they called it the Colorado for some reason. This is my 1994 Hilux Surf that I imported to Canada from Japan. If you want to know a little bit more about the process of that, I will put together a video for you guys just in case you're thinking of doing something similar. Like I said, this is basically a 4Runner just with a different badge on it. Although there are a few key differences. The Hilux Surf came with a few different options. So it came with the wider body, a few different engine options, which we'll get into in a little bit. That was one of the main reasons I got this one. So I've got Kocho here with me to talk about some of the differences between the Hilux Surf that was available in Japan compared to what was available in North America. So the main difference in this particular vehicle is the engine. This is the 3-liter 1KZ TE turbo diesel 4-cylinder, and this was not available in North America, although it was available everywhere else in the world that this was sold. And that was one of the main reasons I wanted this truck. The 3-liter V6 that the North American trucks came with, while it's a very reliable engine, it's not very powerful at all. I wanted something that could keep up with traffic, and the higher torque that you get with the diesel engine is much better for off-roading. So a few other differences between this and a North American 4Runner. This came with a wider body from the factory. It gives it a bit of a wider stance, so I think it looks a little bit better. Also, this, I guess you call it a fin or a spoiler here. It's a little bit different than the North American ones. I'll give you guys kind of a walk around of the truck. It's a little dirty because we are out in the mountains today, but here it is. You can see the wider fender flares that come stock from the factory. It's got this neat little fender flare mirror, or a parking mirror. It's actually pretty nice. The mirror on it was broken, so I just attached this new one I got off Amazon, and it's great for keeping track of where I am in the lane when driving, because this is a right-hand drive vehicle, so it's a little bit different. So driving on the right-hand side, all other cars are left-hand drive. It did take a little bit of getting used to, but not too bad. And like I said, we just use this for driving out to the mountains and kind of longer trips, so it's not like I'm driving around town in this, sitting in rush hour. A lot of people are like, oh, how do you do that? Well, kind of just you get used to it pretty quick.
Easier when we go to Japan.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard that, but it beeps at me randomly too. So in Japan, I did actually find the wire for this. It does have kind of like a speed alert. So I think it goes off if you go over 100 kilometers an hour. So that one has been kind of consistent. But there's a few other times it beeps at me and then says something, and I've never been able to catch it with my phone, like record it so I can play it through like Google Translate. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll be in this one. Yeah, with the 1KZ turbo diesel, as you can see, gets up to speed no problem. The only thing slowing us down right now is the Volkswagen in front of us. It's definitely got more power to it than the 3-liter V6 that came on the North American ones, as we get passed by some idiot in a Cadillac. Speed limit's 100. We're doing just over 100, so what can you do? This is the SSRX 3.0 Limited is the trim. It's super dirty. Hilux Surf. So inside it does have power windows, upgraded radio or sound system, which is nice. You can actually plug your phone in and play it through that. And it does also have Bluetooth. Because it's a diesel, it does have the idle up switch. So when you're starting it in cold weather, you can flip that and it'll idle a little bit higher. I think this was for the factory suspension. There was an option to like change the stiffness of the shocks. When I got it, it didn't really work, or if it did work, it wasn't noticeable with the original suspension. I don't think it really does anything now. There's also a switch here. I'm not too sure what it does. I just haven't gotten around to pulling this out and following the wires, but stay tuned for that. So with the SSRX trim, it's not the top of the line. The SSRG was, I believe. That one came with a sunroof. So this doesn't have a sunroof, but if you take a look inside here, you notice that this little cubby here in the console is quite small, and that's because it does have a heater for the rear seats. This is part of the winter trim option that came with the SSRX. Right now it's got about 179,500 kilometers on it. When I got it, it had just over 176,000. The interior is pretty clean. This came from an auction in Japan, and the rating was 3.5, which means no rust on the vehicle, but the interior has seen better days. Good example of that is the previous owner smoked, so there's a little ash burn there. You can't smell any of the smoke inside, but there are a few signs of it. The mats obviously have seen better days. From the back of the driver's chair to the tailgate is 6 feet. This was basically a Hilux truck with this shell on top of it. You can kind of see, if you follow the body lines, that's where the bed would have been on the regular Hilux or Toyota pickup. Back in the interior, this comes with the selectable four-wheel drive, so it's got 4 high, 4 low. Unfortunately, it's an automatic transmission. I couldn't really find a manual transmission that was in my budget. To get the manual, I did see a few examples, and in similar condition was about an extra $10,000, so didn't really want to do that. Taking a look inside the engine here, just put this up. So like I mentioned, this is the 3-liter turbo diesel. It's the 1KZ TE engine. This is one of the earlier models of this engine, so later models did actually come with an intercooler that sits right on top here, but this one does not have that. Part of the winter package that I mentioned earlier is the dual battery setup. Just nice to have that, starting it up in the winter. When I got it, the original tires were not in the best shape. This is sitting on 31 by 10.5 R15 Falcon Wild Peak AT4Ws. It's not a full snow tire, but it does have the 3-peak snow rating. And so far, they've been great in the snow. Haven't really had any issues, and we've had quite a lot of snow here, and it kind of just plows through everything. You just throw it in 4-wheel drive and kind of just goes through it all. So people have asked me, why did I buy a 30-year-old truck instead of getting something new? And the main reason is the cost. So I would love to get a new 4Runner or a Tacoma, but the cost of the new vehicles is just astronomical. We'd probably be looking at getting like the TRD off-road trim, and you're looking at $60,000 or $70,000 just for one of those. And so the car payments and that just didn't seem worth it. For us, we do a lot of camping, hiking in the mountains, and skiing, so we definitely wanted something that was capable, especially for the winters here in Alberta. So something with 4-wheel drive and something reliable. And also a nice to have was I really wanted a tailgate, which they stopped making for the 4Runners and Hilux Surfs after the 2nd gen. But the cost of this, the actual truck itself, I paid about 10,000 Canadian dollars to get it shipped here, and all the paperwork and everything through customs, get it shipped to my door and I went through a broker. I did pay a bit of a fee for that, but that was another $5,000. So all in, you're looking at $15,000 for this truck. And with the cost being so much lower than a new vehicle, we were actually able to keep our daily driver, which is our 2019 Volkswagen Tiguan. So we can use the Tiguan as our daily driver for running errands around town. And then when we want to go out to the mountains and do some exploring and camping and all that stuff, we have a dedicated vehicle to do so. So when I got the truck, it was actually in pretty good shape. There was a few preventative maintenance things that I did, aside from doing all the fluids and everything like that. I did do the timing belt and also had a shop weld in a new core for the radiator. So I think now it has a 3-core radiator. One of the slight drawbacks with this engine is if you do push it really hard and there's issues with your cooling system, they are prone to cracking the heads. So I wanted to put a new radiator in for that, just to make sure everything's good. I don't think the original one was leaking, but it was the original 30-year-old radiator, so it just felt like a good idea to replace that. Other than that, wasn't too much that needed to be done to get it on the road and registered here in Alberta. One thing we did do is after about 2 months of driving it, we noticed the rear was sagging quite a bit, and it wasn't super stable driving at higher speeds. So I did end up changing out the original suspension, which was the 30-year-old factory suspension. I went with the 2-inch Dobinson lift kit. So 4 new shocks, new torsion bars in the front, and new springs in the back. And that has made a world of difference. Much more confident driving it. It's much more of a firmer ride, absorbs bumps, and it doesn't go up and down like it used to. Other than that, it's pretty well stock. It's in great shape. The engine runs well. We'll show you starting it up in just a minute here. But yeah, it's always been my dream to have a Toyota truck, and I really like the older ones. Went with the 2nd gen Hilux Surf or 4Runner. I do think personally that the 1st gen 4Runner probably looked the best. I do really like the boxy look of it, but didn't really want to deal with the removable rear, and a lot of those are quite rusted out. So I think the 2nd gen is the perfect combination of the late 80s, early 90s kind of boxy styling, and then it does have a few slightly more modern features. So yeah, we'll show you starting this up. Give you a little cold start here. With the diesel and the glow plugs, you want to let those warm up for about 10 seconds. As expected with the Toyota, starts up first try every time. Yeah, this is our new adventure truck. Stay tuned, we'll be taking this out in the mountains a little bit more once the weather's a bit nicer, and doing some camping, maybe a little bit of light off-roading. But yeah, thanks for watching. I wrote a list of stuff to talk about.